Hello and welcome to Opening Gates to More Listings meets The Complete Agent with me, Simon Gates. I'm delighted to be joined today by James Kendall from James Kendall & Co, Dave Warburton from Burton James and Ian Storey from Stories. Lads, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you for having us.
Good to be here.
Very welcome. So today we are going to be talking about how to get into the mid to higher end of a market. Some might even call it the gold dust.
Very true, very true.
So for any agents listening to this who are currently selling, let's say, average property prices and they want to get into the mid to higher end, there's not three better people, I think, to talk about this, going from low fee, high volume into higher end of the market. So I'm going to start with you, Ian.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm not going to do is steal Dave's thunder, which will be to talk about how you look. But I'll let Dave talk about how you look, because that is the first thing I would start with, but that is the first place that everyone should start with, is how you look online, all that sort of stuff. So I'll let Dave come on to that. But I think the main thing for me that I did early on was be selective with what I was selling. So without really thinking about too much about it, we were selective from the start with what we were selling. So we were a new company 7 years ago, and obviously most estate agents that aren't aiming at a particular area of the market just want to sell everything they can get their hands on, don't they? You want as many balls up as possible. But we didn't adopt that approach. We were selective, so we turned away an awful lot of properties in the early days. And that got us a bit of a reputation, good and bad. You know, people were a bit pissed off sometimes that we'd done that with their home. But it definitely gave us a good reputation early on for only selling nice level houses. And that led to initially, lower levels of turnover because we weren't selling loads. I think we probably sold something like probably less than 10 houses in our first year. But they were all mid to higher end, they were all gold dust properties.
If I was setting up, let's say, a high-end estate agency today, and I'm nervous about cash flow, and I've got someone saying like, here's a house, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't quite fit my brand. How did you deal with that then?
We stumbled.
Did you get a credit card?
First of all, in terms of cash flow, we were.
Stop being a politician. Answer this question.
Well, yeah. It is true. I mean, you have to do whatever it takes.
We put some stuff on a credit card, but we were also in a position where we had an income from another lettings business out of the area, so that paid our mortgage and all that sort of stuff for the first year or 18 months. So we had a bit of income. So I would advise anyone who was thinking of doing it to get enough income behind you where you don't need a wage from the business for probably 18 months. If that's possible. And I put stuff on credit card. I was very confident that we were going to make it happen, so I put stuff on a credit card.
So that's the major point I'm talking about. You've got to have a level of confidence to actually go out and achieve it. Because if you're doubting it, then you are going to pick up flats, you're going to pick up 2-bed terraces, 3-bed semis, you're going to become known for that quickly. And we'll come on to my point in a sec, but you will become known for basically for the low end stuff. Mm-hmm. And you'll end up building a brand that doesn't fit what you want.
You will.
I've got a question for you, actually. If you would have it again, and now you do upfront fees,
do
you think if you'd have done upfront fees, arguably you could say it's difficult to get upfront fees at the start.
Yeah.
Let's forget that it isn't, and let's say you did go for that, and the quality of the marketing was there.
Yeah.
Do you think that would change somebody's approach? Do you think they could do it easier if they were to charge upfront?
Of course. No question. Yeah.
For cash flow.
Yeah, for cash flow, to a degree. I think ultimately it's slow. When you're turning stuff away and you're being selective, it's a slower start. So even if I'd had in that first year $8,000 in upfront fees, it's not going to make a massive difference, I don't think. No. But it would definitely help.
Now, the other point is, it's not like you're turning them down every week, is it?
No.
Because when you first start and you've not got any stock,
there aren't that many.
No, but you're proactively finding the right stock, aren't you? I mean, we'll come on to that later, but it's you've got to target the stock that you actually want.
Yes.
So it's not like you open an estate agency branch and put your name out there and all of a sudden a lot of 2-bed, 3-bed terraces are going to be ringing you. So I think if you are selective from day one, it's part of your proactive approach as well. I mean, when I first started, we had just a scattergun approach. We had leaflets going out to every house. And in fact, not thinking about it, we approached a lot of terraced houses, so it was easier to get the leaflets out quicker.
Yeah. But that in context though, that's not Burton James, is it? That's not your mid to high end business. That was your lower end business, because your journey's slightly different.
It is. But the point is, at the time, you're putting money into something and not getting anything back. So your mindset goes, oh shit, we need to get some quick.
Yeah.
And like you said,
I think being completely frank about it, there was a few that we put on in the early days, even though we were being selective, that we wouldn't put on now. you know, it was hard to find the exact balance between what you want to sell and what you don't want to sell.
And you said something earlier about having the confidence. It made me think of the saying, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. I think too many people go into these things half-hearted. And you've probably seen it with what you guys are doing with a complete agent, where some people go, oh, that sounds great, going into higher end. But it's like, really, are you going to send out the letters, do the video, do the social media?
What frustrates me is I hear a lot of time from people, just in life in general. I'll do it when, I'll do it when I just need to, and you're living proof.
Well, I was going to say, so to contradict it in terms of when you said to me, go and do what I do now, and how many excuses did I give you? Then I ran out of excuses.
I kept ringing you until you gave up.
And I went, fuck, I now need to actually do it.
It's not your business yet.
Yeah. And here we are 3 years later with you fine gentlemen around the table talking about it. So there we go.
Crazy.
I do think that you do have to be selective, 100%. But like I say, I don't think it's like you're going to be getting loads and loads of valuations that you don't want if you proactively target the stock that you do want. And, again, lead generation and all that sort of stuff. But you've got to do the hard yards. You've got to knock on the right doors and that sort of thing right at the start.
So let's say today now you're going to, and well, you did this yourself, but to open it up to everyone around the table, you're going to a brand new area where no one knows you, and you're trying to get into the mid to higher end. Yeah. How are we proactively choosing that stock that you want to go and sell? What does that look like?
I think you audit on Rightmove immediately. So you look at what's on the market, see where the low hanging fruit is. There are people on the market that already want to sell, and again, it's not always popular, but I'd be door knocking them. That's what I did right at the beginning.
I think you're a good person to talk to about a new area because you've been successful with.
I've done 3 of them recently in the last few years. When
Burton James was almost brand new or very young, and you targeted those new areas, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you do that?
Do we want to go back to the how do you look side?
Yeah, I think that's important. We haven't
He can't wait.
So people knock on the door and say, sorry for you. Is that
Yeah. I dress in a really raggy outfit and say, please, can I sell your house? So my journey is that obviously, as you know, I've had 2 different brands. And when I first wanted to get into the high end, I realised that what I had was what I'd set up, which was a low to mid-range brand that was set up to really rival the likes of Purple Bricks and stuff like that, because my back in the day, my naivety suggested that that's where the market was going. I thought they'd built this incredible app, and everybody was kind of using them at the time when I was in corporate. I know you were the same, but we were losing market share hand over fist to, this is when I worked for a corporate itself, but we were losing it to Purple Bricks, and it was all based on the low value fee, and I couldn't get my head around it. The marketing was pretty similar, of a lowish standard, to be honest, that a lot of the corporates do. And I just thought, well, why would anybody pay more than £999 to sell a house? That's what I genuinely thought.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
So that's what I set up to do, a low fixed fee volume model that ended up making me hemorrhage money in the first few years and have many, many sleepless nights. So the whole point of that is I'd built that brand and I tried to get it into higher value stuff with direct mail, knocking on doors, things like that. But the reality is, when people were landing on my website, all they could see was 2-bed terraces, 3-bed semis, 4-bed detached. So even if they resonated with me personally and liked me, it was politely, well, you don't really sell what we've got, Dave. So we're going to go with whoever else that's doing more of what we sell.
Yeah.
So the harsh reality was, I looked at it and went, right, that brand is crap for the mid to higher end. It also became, after a few years, I've even rebranded that now, because after a few years, you become just accustomed to it. It just becomes what you are, doesn't it? So I had to completely rebrand. I started a brand new company. And it was hard. It was hard to accept that, because you've built up over sort of like 6 or 7 years something that you've known and you've loved, and it's done well, had its tough times, but got to a stage where it was running itself nicely, but I couldn't break high end, just couldn't do it. So I had to go and find a way to do that, which meant stripping back, starting a brand new brand completely, and basically having a word and saying, how do I actually look to these clients?
Really random segue, but we like to do that on our podcast, don't we?
Yes.
Matthew McConaughey is a very good example where he got fed up of doing rom-coms and he wanted to go do serious films, but no one would book him because they knew him as the guy in the rom-com. So he just, every time a script came through his door for a rom-com, he said, no, no, no. And he was missing out on work for a while. And then all of a sudden, bang, he got something. And then there's like an awesome speech online. I think it's like winning an Oscar or something.
He turned down like 18 million, didn't he? Something stupid for a role.
And that's because, again, how you look is what you're going to attract. So he made sure that he removed himself from that, reinvented himself and went again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think all three of you have done that. Because at the start, you were Storey's estate?
Storey. Well, when we start...
If you go back further than that, you were before you started Storey Estates.
Oh, yeah. Well, I started my first estate agency in 2006. We were a local high street estate agency named after the town we were in. And it went well for a certain period. Then I started a low fixed fee, similar time to you. That's all history. Obviously, you just covered that. And then we moved to a new area and started Stories with the idea of being sort of selling nicer stock. I didn't really know what that meant, but that's what I wanted to do, which is why I started being selective. But yeah, we were Storey Estates. Storey's Estates? Storey Estates, yeah. Different colour, green and orange. It was a little bit lower.
I wanted to touch on that as well, because again, you changing the name, the brand colour, you've done that as well in arguably quite short periods of time. It's only the last few years. But you've started, and we have this conversation all the time. There'll be others out there who are still thinking of that shade of green and orange. You haven't fucking pushed a button. You've pushed a button. And just iterated, and got better as you go along.
The key with that is as well that I found, and again, we all work together, so we all learn off each other all the time. Is for ages, I mean, I know we've both used a good designer that's quite low end but good for various different other little side projects, but that you can't beat. If you're in the mid to upper end and you're charging 2% and you are that trusted advisor, you are at the top of your game, then you really need to look at the mirror and start applying that to all other areas of your life. So for me, it was when we did our rebrand, was working with the same designer you used. And when I look at the process between using the designer, I mean, even your other designer I'd used, it was very much previously a Zoom call. What's it called? What colours do you like? And I'll come back with something in a couple of days. And you basically get, I mean, probably doing a bit of a disservice to these people, but almost a Canva-esque kind of logo comes back. It's a bit better than that. But when you work with a creative marketing agency, and to put it into context, you can get a logo design for 50 quid from Fiverr.
Well, what about your logo back in the day when JK started? That was brilliant, wasn't it?
I thought we weren't going to talk about that. Did we sign an NDA?
If we could just put that into the video right now.
To be fair, I'd quite happily share that because...
That was clip art, wasn't it?
It was. I think it was. It was. I think it's actually worse than clip art.
It's great.
It was so bad. But again, we've all had different journeys where, I've started from essentially what was a POS, like it's horrible. Can we swear? Pile of shit. It was horrible branding, and I'm happy to share if you want to put the clip up or whatever, so people can actually see what we're talking about here and where we were 15 years ago to where we are now. But just to finish off on that point, the strategy meetings that you go with the designer. So when you speak to Jenny, you have there's still Zoom, but it's not about what colours do you like and what does it say. It's more about you go through the process of, to talk just numbers quickly to cap that off. Logo you can get for 50 quid, up to 300 quid for some designers. A full visual branded identity package is like 3.5, 4 grand upwards. But the difference is it's not all done on one Zoom meeting. Right, you have one meeting in the beginning. Right, who are you? And who do you want to be? What do you want to portray? Tell me a bit about you. And they get to know you and what you're about. And then they start teasing things out of you. They get asking you great questions about, and again, it's to relate it back to a estate agency. That's what we do to clients, right, as well, yeah? Help them discover where they want to go, where they want to be. So through that discovery session, they then tease out of you, how do you want to be perceived? What do you operate in? But then they also are very good at, going back to what you say, how you look. They'll go on your website and go, right, okay, so if you're doing cinematic video, does every house get a cinematic video? Yes, they do. Does every house get X? Does every house, and then they then challenge you on your positioning so that when they build, so, we've gone from them just having a conversation about a rebrand, like changing the logo, to changing everything. That's boards, website, just whole visual identity, cards, and it can make such a, talk about how you look, and that we love it. Alchemy by Rory Sutherland. Yeah. That has ruined my life in a lot of ways. Not in a good way. In that I now think about everything that I do from a tangible touch point and how we're perceived. So, for example, for boards. So my main competitor, who you know very well, who used to work with, they've changed their boards. They've almost gone backwards. Now they're perceived to be the agent, and fair play to them, they were the agent. I have no right, given the size that I am, and this is for anyone that's watching this podcast or listening to it. I always had that imposter syndrome, like, who am I as a ex-council house boy that wasn't privately educated, that who's going to trust me to sell their £1 million+ home? I always had that in, I guess, is it imposter syndrome? But I was brilliant at selling houses, and I was really passionate about marketing, but just never had the confidence to step up because I thought, why would anyone do that? But then you fast forward and you actually realise you just jump into it, and everything you touch and come into. So going back to those boards, historically, did you used to have swing boards there? No. The boards were a lot higher quality though than they are now. They've rebranded, and something that stuck out for me is a friend of mine's parents own a house that's probably 2+ million, and they're thinking about selling. And just before our rebrand, they used to drive past one of our boards every day, and they said to my friend Tim, they probably hadn't thought about using us because our boards look quite low end.
Yeah, the boards is key. Yeah, we get comments on boards quite a lot. I had Val last week. She mentioned the boards. Your boards are lovely, the key logo.
I comment on your boards as well. A couple of times I drive through that sort of Cheshire area. Remind me, there's 4 different types of boards. What are they?
Coming soon. Coming soon for sale, under offer, sold STC. Yeah. So the 3 of those are bright yellow. Which might sound low end, but I always think it's a bit different with boards. The board is quite classy, but the strip is a very, very contrasting colour.
It's got to be standout, isn't it?
And it stands out a mile, yeah.
And you also, whether it's your boards, letters, videos, social media posts, and again, think about getting into mid to higher end, sweating the absolute fuck out the asset of you've got 4 different boards. So that could be 4 different photos of that board shared on your social stories. When it's coming soon, newly listed, sale agreed, completed, well, that's 4 different letters you could send out. That's 4 different social media posts. All of a sudden you've got so many different pieces of content across multiple platforms. And on one of the things you were saying earlier, Dave, to go back to it, all 3 of you, and I think you used the word naively, which I think you're being harsh on yourself actually, but back then when Purple Bricks did what they did and a few others, it was like, so if we can sell someone's house for cheaper, right, and to use Rory Sutherland Alchemy, let's use Coca-Cola or Diet Coke for you, right? Rory Sutherland would say, if you're going to create something to rival Coca-Cola, it needs to be in a bigger can, it needs to taste nicer, and it's cheaper. Their bigger rival is Red Bull. Smaller can, costs more money, and in a taste test, it tastes shit, according to people. Yet Red Bull now have sports teams and an international mega house. So, and again, let's say you're getting people from A to B in your businesses. You're all just moving house, but actually it's the whole process of how they feel. Again, back to alchemy, it's not just the logical part, it's the emotional part of it as well. And in terms of just sort of segueing on from how you look, that's how you get people to notice you, right? But then it's how they meet you is how they treat you, which I steal this line from James a lot. So if you're getting, I get introduced to a lot of agents through you guys, that's a good meeting for me because I've been introduced by you guys who are saying social proof, he's a good guy. So yeah, how they meet you is how they treat you. You've built up a good network, haven't you? So it's like, you know, you're not going to go meet your £1 million homeowners in Wetherspoons, are you? No. Typically, but are you going to see them in the golf clubs, the private member clubs?
Yeah.
Just to go back to alchemy though, again, like that, the whole perception and everything, and it's cost me a fortune, but it's so true. But you know, because we were talking about, you know, I don't want to talk about direct mail yet because we're probably going to talk about it later. But it's I can remember when, you know, we were talking about it on the train when we first sort of started chatting 6-7 years ago, and there is a distinct difference in what you send out and the quality of what you send out and how it's presented, and it correlates with who responds to your direct mail.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it does. But so you could send out though the greatest letter you've ever written on the greatest paper.
Yeah,
and then they go
in
online.
a beautiful envelope, and then they go online, and your website's shit, and you're selling 3-bed semis.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you have to be selective, and where you have to, from the start, target the right stuff.
I can think of a particular agent on your point, Dave, where they're like, letters don't work. And I'm like, right, we're going to go on your website now. And they're like, oh, don't do that. Right, so is it letters don't work, or actually you send in a world-class letter and, you know, if they've got £1 million house to sell, they're not just ringing you up and going, all right, mate, I received your letter. Do you want to come value my house? They're going to do their research.
It's a funny one. I went to a evaluation about 3 weeks ago, and the house is 650,000. It's out of my area. I don't even know how I got the valuation at first. So I obviously went to meet them. Like I say, completely out of area. I do not have a single board in that area. I don't have a house for sale in that area. They just followed us on socials, love what we do. And we were sat down, and ultimately it was a pricing issue as to why it wasn't selling. Shock. The presentation wasn't amazing. It wasn't terrible. So the agent's marketing was okay. So we'd sat down, and I was learning a little bit about what he was trying to achieve, and then sort of understanding where he wants to get to. And then I was intrigued, obviously, about why he'd chosen me to come out. And he said, well, the 2 agents that we had, the very first one, who is a big player in that area and has pretty much got all the market share, he said, just didn't really get us any viewings. We felt that we were undervalued. We were just one of many, many, many stock. And, you know, we were only paying them £1,500. And I said, well, you've no marketing budget. And we'll come on to that later, I'm sure. But you've no marketing budget for a start. And then he said, the second agent was better, like the bit more pricey, 1%. And he said, but slightly better marketing, decent exposure. But on both companies, when I went on their website, ours was the highest value listing by quite a distance.
yeah.
And he said, the reason I've brought you in is because we would probably sit middle of the road. And I reckon you've got loads of buyers that are looking for my type of house, whether they're downsizing or moving up. So we'll just be middle of the road for you. And I think that you'll probably have lots of buyers. And he was sort of saying the new marketing's amazing and all that sort of stuff. Now, that was a house in the end that I didn't really fit our brand in a sense. But the perception of him inviting us out was interesting.
I think on your point there, and I'm sure all 3 of you get this, is someone says to you, I'm not sure if my house is going to be high-end enough for you.
Yeah.
Would my house fit in terms of what you do? Because again, it goes all the way back to the start of the conversation, what you said of how you look.
It does. And it's so important that you get it right. I mean, like you've said, when you're starting out, hang out in the right places with the right people and all that sort of stuff, you know, you could dress really well and be
Well, Ireland Scott.
Yeah.
Well,
memo, lads. Thanks for the memo.
It's unbelievable. But you could be in the right place with all these people, but then you give them your business card, and then they land on your
It's
website.
Vistaprint.
And
but I'm genuinely, like, talking about the alchemy earlier, like Rory, that's 3 times now, mate. The quality of your business card, like, again, going back to Jenny, when we were talking about this thing, like, my business cards that I've just ordered, how much do you reckon they are per business card?
50p.
£1.50 per card.
Saw him coming, didn't they?
I know, what I say.
Yeah.
Should have gone to Vistaprint.
Yeah, the reference on the thing was mug. Yeah.
Oh, they forgot to remove, it says James Kendall, owner, and then beneath mug. Oh, it shouldn't have, that was just for the order.
100%. But when again, going back to where you mix with people and meet people, again, and to quote, alchemy again, that what you hand over, if you hand over that cheap Vistaprint, like that's almost bent when you even take it out of the box, it's thin, like someone's going to throw that away. And that psychological part of their brain is touching that and going, well, that's cheap. However, this card that I've got is, it's embossed. It's got 3 layers of card, so it's thick.
Yeah.
Sorry to the environmentalists out there. And it's got like, it's not foil, but it's like pressed in as well.
Nice.
So when I hand that over, like, and I'm not going to just hand it over willy-nilly, you know, it's going to be to clients of high-end homes when, you know, we do sort of appraisals, etc. But also when I'm out at those events where, you know, fortunate enough to go to certain events where you do meet people, you know, in the celebrity space, the football space, etc. And you hand that card over without saying anything, when they've picked it up, touched it and clasped it, they've gone, right, this is, they haven't said it, but their brain automatically thinks
it's quality.
You know, it's, yeah, exactly. It's like anything, you know.
Whether it's a business card, whether it is some long form print marketing that you send out, which we'll come on to another episode, or if it's a nice glossy brochure, people are holding it and going, that's something I can't throw away.
Yeah.
Or a cheap business card or really shitty leaflet that's come through with a kebab menu, or a brochure that's black and white printed. Like I remember switching offices a dozen years ago and went to an office, going out on viewings. I'm like, so where are like the glossy brochures when I go out on viewing? So I hang glossy brochures and they're like, oh, that's a waste of money. We don't do that. I'm like, interesting. So you think that's a waste of money? Yeah, I'm coming to this office because you're hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
The office I was in invests heavily in glossy brochures on every listing. So we give it to someone and they're like, well, that's nice. And they have a house to sell in our area and they're going, I should probably list with this agent when all their other brochures are black and white and shit.
Well, you just said sweat the asset, you know, and that thing where you give someone the brochure and it's, you know, 24 pages, it's thick, it's double-sided, maybe the logo on the front is embossed, like exactly bespoke to the house.
What would the
embossed.
minimum order be on?
15 generally.
Okay, so let's say you sell that pre-portal.
Yeah.
To the first viewer,
Yeah.
and the amount of agents go, fuck, that was a waste of money.
Nah.
Now all of a sudden, you've got brochures that you can put through someone's door who's on the market with someone else and say, we've just sold this off market to a private buyer. This is what our marketing looks like. So again, sweat the asset. Don't leave it in the cupboard gathering dust.
The brochure, when you put that down, I mean, the way I do my pitch, it's always right at the end, and you know, we've got a copywriter, we've got a digital marketing team, we've got a design team, and then it all puts together. It's all like that, bang, and you put it on the table so they can see it, and they are looking at it and they are seeing the quality of your photography. They can see that you do video and all that sort of stuff. They feel it and they want it themselves. They can see and picture their house in it, and by having their own bespoke brochure. When you explain to them that it's bespoke and that it, you know, this will be designed to the style of your home, they love it. They love it. But like you say, it just gives that feel of quality. But all of that will get you through the door potentially. But if they go onto your website, it still comes back to, they go onto your website and see a shit representation of you.
I think it's a Tom Panos saying, your online and offline need to be inline. Audio needs to match visual.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
I think one thing we've not covered yet, talking about this, is consistency across everything that you do. And certainly when you're starting off, well, obviously not just when you're starting off because we're consistent now, but when you're in the early days, have consistency at the front of your mind. So every listing needs to be the same in terms of, obviously now it's twilights, it's percent-led video, it's styling, there's never a car on the drive. You know, we were looking at one, weren't we, yesterday, where this agent's got a little bit of snow in patches and some cars on the drive, and we're thinking you could easily just sort that out, but they don't, you know, and having that consistency all the way through, people really pick up on
Attention to detail of that upper end of the market, and especially if you want to charge premium fees, attention to detail is where like the battle's won and lost.
You've got to want to do it though. I think you've got to have that OCD in you a little bit.
You've said on your guys' podcast a few times about you start to find people are copying you, and it's always a good sign when you're being copied because people don't copy mediocre.
No.
But they might copy you once or twice, but they just don't have the consistency to stay with it.
No, generally speaking, they don't.
Thing is, in my area though, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of agents that overvalue and undercut. So I don't know what it's like in your area.
You've got the bingo card now.
Yeah, but you hear it though, don't you? Like, you know, we had a mastermind the other week, and you know, the feedback was, competition's fierce in my area. Like there's agents that are going out there undercutting, charging.
But then again, so it comes back to being selective. You don't need to have everything. People are obsessed with market share, and it's just you just don't need it.
Personal jinx.
You don't need market share if you're commanding really good fees. And some of the naivety back in the day that I speak about was, my perception was people want a cheap fee. What you quickly realise, again, we'll possibly come on to this, but if you are in the low end space, low to mid-range space, it's harder to get chunky fees. Not only because of the house values, but because of this. People are very similar with their marketing. The marketing budget isn't there to start doing incredible cinematic videos and doing it in 4 different ways and having a social media budget and all that sort of stuff. You go to the top end of the market, of course you have to do a little bit of negotiation every now and again, but if you get it right, how you look, they fucking expect it. And I got told it was too cheap the other week, and I just think, you know what? There's a client out there that'll pay even more.
There is, 100%.
But you've got to be consistent with it. Like you said, every single listing has to have it. And that is where the competition fails. Because yes, everybody can, AI is getting better and better. So you'll probably start seeing a twilight on bloody 1-bedroom flats now. But they're getting better, but they can't beat consistency. They can't beat quality. They can't beat the individual.
Sorry, I was going to say that, just to cap off that, sorry, it was just that your USP is always you.
You can't replicate the authenticity.
And to I suppose to plug you is that I said the stats. You've got to be. I think you said it the other week as well. I don't know if it's actually your phrase, but I stole it and said it was mine. Was charge what you're worth and be worth what you charge.
Doesn't sound like him, does it?
No, not at all. No.
I definitely stole it from somewhere else. But too many agents, they're not matching. And I think an exercise I do quite frequently is write down what fee you think you're worth. And let's say someone puts 2%. Okay, write down what you're charging. And they usually put 1%. But there is the odd occasion where someone says, I'm worth 1.5%, and you're like, are you though? Like the results, if you're selling half of what you list, are you worth 1%?
How much are you achieving? Like, if you can confidently articulate and say you've got the data to back it up, that you achieve 3% more than the average agent, let's say you achieve 1.5 or 2% more than the average agent, your fee also more than pays for itself. But also, if your success rate is that you exchange on, say, 80% of everything that you list and the national average is 50%, then do you want to leave it to the flip of a coin to whether you actually move, or would you like a nearly 90 or 80, 90% chance of moving? What's more important to you? And we were talking about, again, don't want to talk about mastermind all the time, but one of the things we brought up is find out people's why. And if you get really deep and you find out why they're moving, you can articulate the data to them. So to quote the lady that you went to go and see, it would be disastrous if she wasn't in her new home at Christmas unwrapping presents with her grandkids. And they're the business is won on the questions that you ask, not the answers you give. Cheers, Sam, Hannah. Cheers, mate.
Now he's done seeing lots of other people's sayings. On something you're saying there, consistency, twilight, and then with AI, you can do some crazy twilight stuff. Again, you guys do this well, sweating the asset of, is AI, it's like, the thing where it's like, is AI going to go on a 3-day bender and turn up to work and sell houses? No. But is AI going to be outside that person's house at 9 o'clock in the summer, like you guys are doing a live, going, hey, I'm here. And people are looking at going, my agent doesn't do that. And they don't even return my phone call. Ian's here at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night filming. And I think as well, sorry, Dave, you said I was listening yesterday to one of the latest podcasts and talking about the Porsche, that whole setup. And if I heard correctly, you were going back to houses that are already for sale. So you're getting new footage.
Getting new footage,
But again, how many agents, once a property has, let's say it's not sold after a month, fuck it, it's not going to sell, let's move on to the next one. Or the only strategy is to price reduce it. You're ringing up your sellers going, I've got this partnership with Porsche. We're going to come back round, have a Porsche, and then whack it on socials. Hopefully that'll re-energise it.
To Porsche owners as well, Porsche Chester, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an amazing little brand story, isn't it? But we would go back to properties all the time until they sell to do something new, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter what it is in a way. You need the owner to see that you're doing everything you possibly can.
So here's a question on that. So how long do you think the average agent's marketing strategy lasts?
Yeah, I don't know.
Genuine
A few
question.
weeks?
Yeah, tops.
So
I don't think.
I don't think there is a strategy.
I was going to say.
But let's be kind and say there is a strategy, but let's say it's a few weeks.
The strategy is launch on Rightmove.
Yeah, and I was speaking at a conference the other day, and at the moment, of the several 100,000 properties currently for sale on Rightmove, the time on market for an average unsold property is 189 days.
Is that for that firm, was it?
No, just generally nationally.
General. Okay.
If you were to look at the several 100,000, now obviously there's going to be ones that have been on for 5 years, there's going to be ones that have been on for 1 day, but when you put them all together, it's 189 days. But the average agent, after a few weeks, that's the end of the strategy. Yeah. But your strategy is we'll keep going. And I know you say it a lot, but your presentation across you guys, the promotion and WhatsApp groups of you as people, it's never going to be the issue. It's never going to be presentation, promotion, person. And they're going, it's going to be the price, isn't it, Ian? So you've let them self-discover that.
100%.
Just on those seasonal campaigns, we sold a gorgeous thatched place recently where...
was it 3.5 million?
No, it wasn't, but it will be this weekend, hopefully. Hopefully by the time this goes out, it'll be sold. And I'll be talking about it on the podcast for the next 8 weeks. It's sold. It's done. Manifestation. But another one that we saw, it was 900, but they spotted it on Rightmove when we did our Christmas. Remember the Christmas campaign where we did the snow and the twilight? It was a twilight snow, and we'd gone back and taken the image of the string light as well because they had lights outside the house. But we did AI the snow, obviously. But they saw that, and I don't know what it was, but it was different when they were scrolling down the feed. Yeah, they clicked on it over Christmas, requested in the new year, and they bought it.
That goes back to your point, Dave. Sorry, I keep feeling like last 5 minutes. Dave's tried to talk, but he's too slow. How you look on your point there of doing the seasonal Christmas stuff. Yet how many agents launch properties when there's snow on the drive, accidentally having snow, and then 4 weeks later it's sunshine and you still got snow on the drive.
Worse than that, it spends a prolonged period of time in the market, like spring, summer. It's still got the
This
snow
is
on the
that key
drive.
period now. Well, that will happen loads.
Yeah, it will.
And a great excuse to, again, if there's anything you photographed in January, let's say, and then the clocks have changed and the flowers are out, you guys are ringing up your sellers going, right, now we're going to refresh the market.
Talking about that £3.5 million house, I'm actually going there next week to reshoot some new content because when we did the previous content, it was the trees are all bare because it's like autumn, they start to fall off the tree. Like, just looks completely different. But then, again, it's that key where you speak to, and I appreciate we're probably going off a little bit of a tangent. Who'd have thought?
Unlike you.
Yeah, who would have thought? But it just, again, it's showing that the seller you're doing something. It probably will sell this weekend, all being well. But if it doesn't, we've got everything lined up there, and the seller can see that, bearing in mind I'm the third agent. So they've gone on with a national high-end agent. They went on with a local agent. And again, it was all down to data, advice, but marketing. But I've just stayed consistent with keeping it up.
How many properties do you go to? So for me, in our business, my ultimate aim is to never lose the client. So that might sound the obvious aim, but I don't think it is for a lot of agents. And that's what I'm paranoid about, is that they're going to change. We don't lose any. We maybe lose 2 a year to other agents. So it doesn't really happen because of what we do, but that is my aim. That is my ultimate paranoia, is I never want to lose the client ever. So that's what all the team need to know. So when you're doing all this sort of stuff and when you're updating them every week, and that's what it's about. Obviously it's about selling the house and getting paid, but it's about not losing them to another agent.
A big reason of your success is how many agents are focusing too much on winning listings rather than looking after their clients. Like when I see an agent who sells less than 50% of what they list, but they're out there trying to get new business, imagine if you just sold the properties you already had and then the business you get off the back of the success of those. And on the, just going back to where we started in terms of getting into the mid to higher end, we've said about half of properties not selling. So when someone has a for sale board outside, AKA help me, and it's a great place to start, isn't it? Once you've had really poor advice on price, really bad marketing. And I get some agents say to me, oh, that's way too much money. Yeah, but does the owner know that?
Do you know what? I was just going to say that. I went to Eval yesterday. It was off the back of one of our on the market letters. It's on at 1.75 million. It's a lovely house, lovely plot. It's probably, 250 or maybe 150, 250 over where it should be. And I gave them the advice on the price, and they agreed.
They took it, yeah.
Because they were thinking it themselves, but they'd never been told that by their agent. It's been on the market a year.
I hate when I hear this every week when an agent when I go, well, if it's not sold, if you say that the presentation promotion person's as good as it is, it's got to be the price. And they go, no, it's market value. If it was market value, it would be sold.
Yeah,
of course.
Work to the market
Always.
you're in, not what we were in. That's the key.
Yeah.
And again, this is another thing, but doing it consistently the way we do it. So if you do have the Highland Twilight shots and your professional photography, details, copywritten, video everywhere, there's no way that particular client can come back to you and say you've not done enough on your marketing.
Yeah.
It always then leads to the pricing issue. But if you're cutting corners on your marketing, charging 0.5%, 0.75%, where there's no marketing budget to do all the stuff that we're talking about, inevitably you're going to go down a route of friction with that client.
Yeah. And then, so I think I shared this when I was on your podcast not that long ago, but latest data from Rightmove showing that 29% of properties are selling with a second agent. So again, if you wanted to get into mid to higher end, just go on Rightmove, as I think James said earlier, look at how bad the marketing is and go, right, go target them.
Yeah. So many, especially at the higher end, have been on so long, haven't they? They're sitting there frustrated.
Gathering dust.
Yeah.
The agent's forgotten that they're even there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where can you add value? That's the other thing as well.
One of the things we did really well earlier on is because I'm so enthusiastic, as we all are, is that sort of fresh, especially if you're newer, you can be that fresh face and really enthusiastic kind of person that's going to take the whole hand and give them 7-day-a-week service. And if they're with most other agents where it's been on the market so long, especially big higher end agents where they've got so much global stock of £1 million properties, you are one of a tiny little fraction to that business. Whereas to me, they were everything that week, everything. And it's getting that across. And I think if you can do it, energetically and empathetically to the client, it goes down really, really well.
And when you start, so going right back to the start, when we're talking about how you look and changing your branding if you have to, it's such a good investment. I can't stress enough the investment we made in that. And starting again, and how did we get into these high-end homes? Well, obviously, we talk a lot about direct mail in a different podcast, so that was a massive part of it. But putting yourself out there. Yeah. You have to put yourself out there personally.
Even on social media.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So social
Facebook,
media, using the social media groups and things like that. There's one client that I've got who actually, they were with an agent that used the same photographer, which was another conversation I was pissed off about. But anyway, they used the same photographer. And so the photos that they used were really good. They were good photos. There were a few other things that weren't quite right. The descriptions weren't great, no brochure. They didn't have any form of video whatsoever. And the price point was wrong.
Was it staged and styled?
Wasn't staged and styled, no, none of that. So just really good photography. Price point, not horrendous, but definitely in terms of price points on Rightmove, could have been a lot better. I got a phone call on the back of her seeing me doing portrait reels, literally stood outside a house with a microphone, saying this is coming on the market soon. That's part of a pre-launch, like da-da-da. So this one's coming on the market soon. Then she saw the cinematic video of it when it went live. She also saw a different form of video. She rang me and said, I want that. That's what I want for my house. I want to know that that's what's happening. It seems that you're everywhere.
When we started, we used to do that outside competitors' houses.
Yeah.
So I used to go and stand outside.
And when I say to agents who are cold starting, whether it's high end, low end, whatever, like, do that. Like, you fucking mad. Yeah. But it's like,
brilliant strategy that.
Like, you're basically Rightmove 2.0 in terms of what does Rightmove do? Rightmove takes estate agents' data and says, I'm going to charge you for taking all the data that you've spent lots of time, money, energy, and effort on. So go and use other agents' listings.
Yeah, promote
be
it
the local expert.
Yeah.
Then like, my agent hasn't done that.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you can then do it outside your own listings.
That's right.
You don't need to leverage it.
But you can also leverage the leads that you get from that. You could always say, like, if you're looking to buy, position yourself as a buying agent, because that's the other thing about being that trusted advisor at the top end. I've acted for people that I haven't sold for, where I've just helped them buy a house. And we're at that level that this end of the market, there isn't the budget at the lower end of the market generally for people to get you to do that. But at the mid to upper end, people have got money to spend. And if you can just commit to, again, another podcast, but commit to charging them only money if you save them money on the next house, you can then be offering properties out, and then, you know, put a call to action in your social media thing. This is a great property. If you're looking to buy a property like this, get in touch with me.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to. I know the market, blah, blah, blah.
And go direct to sellers. So we think of like on market prospecting as, oh, you know, it's been on for 12 weeks or it's reduced, it's fallen through. If something has a sold sign outside, knock on a door, introduce yourself. I've just recently set up an estate agency in the area. I noticed a sold board outside. Congratulations. Are you looking to stay local? Can I help you find somewhere?
Yeah, that's
and all of a sudden, Simon and Louise said they want to buy a 4-bed detached on an acre of a plot in a village near Newport Pagnell. Bang, video goes out, letters go out.
And then you get instructions off the back of it. You might actually find them.
You'll also get instructions off the back of the people who comment on those videos that you're doing, because they'll probably be selling a house, won't they, as well?
But the other thing I would say, take Facebook with a pinch of salt. Like, a lot of people are scared to do Facebook social media because of all the trolls that are out there.
Yeah. I mean,
like, just do it.
I've lost track of the amount. Trolley comments. I just delete them. Forget about them.
I've had like people go, oh, his Cockney accent, or whatever.
That was you on your burner account.
Yeah. Very good Warburton, actually. It rings a bell.
Yeah. Well, that's the support I'd like to give me. You know?
Yeah. Is there anything that we maybe haven't covered so far that maybe we need to catch
I'd say, just to go back to it, because you're right. My brand was a completely new brand, right, when I went to get into the mid to high end. And like I've said to you, I looked at it, the existing one, it felt cheap. And it was cheap. That's what we were doing. So like I said, we've even rebranded that. But we had the branding consultation. We changed it up. Completely new company. And it was day one start. It was lots and lots of social media. It was lots and lots of direct mail. And it was just getting ourselves out there, knocking on doors and getting that first 1 or 2 opportunities, being consistent with it. And in the first 12 months, we booked 175 valuations from a cold start. So it can be done. Amazing. It can be done, but it can only be done if you're absolutely consistent with your approach and the brand and everything associated with it looks like what you want to attract.
What you just described in terms of direct mail, door knocking, social media, what you've essentially said is you've done the ordinary things extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
And how many people are missing just doing the basics? Like, when I open my phone up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm going to see one of you in my feed within seconds, typically. Yeah. The agent who says to me, I'm not busy, when I open my phone up between meetings, whatever, or I'm on the sofa of the night watching Netflix, I'm not seeing you. And they think that they're posting loads. It's like, you're not. Like, if you can say, right, I've posted once a day, every day across multiple platforms for 30 days. And I haven't done that. Okay. Most agents will say, you probably have it again in the mastermind, I'm really good once I'm in the living room. I just don't get in enough living rooms. If you're that good in a living room, go and knock on people's doors. Because if you're that good face to face, get amongst it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Is there anything we need to finish off on this?
No, I think it's all good. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for watching Opening the Gates to More Listings Meets a Complete Agent, where we've been talking about how to get into the mid to higher end of the market, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.